is our new tent. It's the Zempire TXL Pro series tent. So it's an inflatable tent. Our last one was one of the instant up Blackwolf tents, which was great for a while, but we ended up having some problems with wind. So after much consideration, we decided to give these a try. So one of the reasons we went with this was it's got a good bedroom setup. So it's got 3 bedrooms at the back, so we can put the kids in. And still, in theory, should have 1 or maybe even 2 for us. Particularly once our youngest gets a bit older, we can put them in bunks. That'll free up an extra room either for storage or for us. And then it's got a big living room area in the middle, and a really good covered annex area, which will hopefully negate the need for us to do a tarp setup, which should take our overall camping setup down to a little bit more of a manageable level, rather than always having to stock full of trailer when we go camping. So it's here. It's a mammoth box, so it weighs about 50 kilos. So let's open it up and see what's in it. New tent, buddy. The more we looked at the Zempire stuff, they do really good quality stuff, so it seems. So the tent bag itself looks pretty good quality, which is good. So let's open it up. Alright. There we go. Bag of pegs and guy ropes. I like that the Zempire guy ropes have metal sliders, so they're nice and durable. Yeah. Good clean pegs. Everyone loves a good clean peg. So these are the poles, so being the Pro series. But these little poles here are for pegging out the side awning for the side entry doors. So, and these are the optional poles that you can use. Well, they come with the tent, but you don't have to use them. It's only if you want to put the gull wing awning section out. We may or may not do that most of the time. I imagine that we'll probably have it closed up, but we'll see.
I don't know, hon. I think I will.
Tops of these bags are padded too, so you don't get pushed through and damage the tent. That's pretty good. And
yeah,
that is the Pro Series pump that comes with it. So from what I've read, that seems to pump it up pretty quickly in a couple of minutes. And obviously we've got the tent here. The flyers are all part of the tent. It's just one piece, which is great. So let's get this to some grass and let's put it up. Alright, so we're currently at day night two
Night
of
two.
our 2-night escape to test the Zempire TXL Pro. I should point out that we're actually not sponsored by Zempire, but hey, if they're watching. So we bought this tent after lots and lots of
research.
So it was good to get away in it.
So it might be good for us to start with a few things like we really noticed straight away. And I think one of the first things I noticed was just how beautifully the zipper glided. And I think I know that because we have 2 little boys, 2 very small boys, 1 baby and a toddler. And if that zipper is noisy, we know about it because it's waking our kids. So that is like one real big pro for me, but maybe not for other people. What about for you?
I think looking at the bag and everything, this thing is a beast. It's heavy, it's massive, but like I think putting it up in the context of a camping ground and like where we've got it here, it's sort of fitted into the space really well. It looks really good.
Looks great.
Doesn't matter what angle you're looking at, it looks a bit different, and you catch people checking it out, and it's pretty cool. It's very obvious that it's well put together.
The number one thing that I look for in a tent, just from all of my years of camping, and I've been camping since I was a baby, is ventilation. I used to get sticks and like stick it into the mesh and the doors and just to try and get as much ventilation as possible, because in the Australian summer you need to be able to breathe in your tent. You need to be able to sleep comfortably. So we have just had a really hot few days, and I can't say that it's been cool in the tent, but definitely the ventilation. There is ventilation on every single side of this tent. Every single meter, every single space has a ventilation point. And I hear that there's a roof that you can buy as well from Zempire to bring down the heat.
Yeah.
And we are definitely going to do that. We're not going to throw in the tent because of the heat that we've experienced, but we definitely see the worth in getting that. What is it called?
It's a roof covering. So according to Zempire, it reduces the temperature inside the tent by around 6 degrees, which would be pretty good. So it was about 32 degrees this weekend.
Yeah.
So it was hot in the tent. And I guess with our last tent, we bought the tent and then bought every accessory that we could possibly buy for this tent. And so with this one, it's a lot of money. And so we thought we'd buy it, test it, and then see what we thought about the accessories. But coming away in 32 degrees, if we can drop the internal temperature by 6 degrees, I don't care what that roof sheet costs, it's worth the money.
It's worth it. This tent is really good. Just the little extras that I didn't even see on the website, like in the bedrooms. We're not going into the bedrooms because our children are asleep and we're not messing with that. But in the bedrooms, there's like a barn door system where you can open up the top half of the door to leave a really thin mesh. So they're blacked out bedrooms. But if you can open up the top, it just allows for more ventilation to come through, which is something that we really needed for our kids at the moment. We ended up sleeping in the huge middle section the last 2 nights just because we weren't set up in time, but then found that it was actually really beautiful in that room, and looking out through the windows was really lovely at night. Like, we've had a really clear night. We haven't had any rain, so we found that was a really great space to be. You can sleep in that middle section just fine. You can still have ventilation if you're sleeping in that section. So that was good.
So it's probably worth pointing out, and this might be a more detailed story for another time, but we've gone through quite a few sleeping arrangements over the years, and so another part of this weekend was testing out a few other things that we'd recently bought after our last camping trip, and one of the things that we've done is change our sleeping arrangements.
This is big for you.
So we were previously in a double height queen size air mattress, which again we'll go into that maybe another time, but we've gone to 2 Black Wolf singles joined together, single self-inflating mats, so the Hexatherm 3D Black Wolf mats, So 2 singles butted up next to each other with Annex mat coupler to join them together, and then our sleeping bag over the top of that. So that is 153 centimeters, 53 centimeters across. The bedrooms are about 147 centimeters or 146 centimeters across. So one of the things that I wanted to know out of this trip is, will that bed fit in a bedroom if we needed it to? The answer is not quite, but it works.
Yeah, it works.
So we had the boys on the 2 either ends, and we were able to fit our mattress in the center of it with a little bit of overhang if you unzip the bottom bits into the boys' room, and quite frankly they're not going to care about that. And it means that, you know, we've got that whole middle section free, and we fit in just fine. So that was good to work out.
Another part of this trip was seeing if we could do it without taking a tarp, because the tarp and the poles and the guy ropes and all of the things that you need to make that area work, it just takes up too much space from our current iX35 and trailer. So we have a fair bit of space to work with, but we just really wanted to minimize it. And so the huge annex that comes off the front, which is the door that goes up, I found that to really work. And I've loved being able to look through the roof because it is tinted plastic. So even with the hot weather that we've had, I found that to be a really perfect and beautiful space to be able to sit outside at night and during the day. And you've still got, just behind us here, this room that you can sit within at any time as well. So we found that this was a really well ventilated space, that it was great for the sun. I think that works. I don't think we need the tarp. Do you?
Certainly not, unless there's 10 of us.
Yeah.
So I think when we were doing the unboxing, I looked at the poles for the Annex saying I won't be using these. I genuinely didn't think that I would be. However, seeing it set up, and again with the weather that we've had, it has been really good. The reason I thought that initially is when I was looking at pictures of it, it looked a little bit awkward. It sort of comes in a little bit because of the shape of the front bit, and I didn't think it would provide great weather protection if it was raining, or if it suddenly started to rain. And I guess that's probably the case, but for hot weather it's been great. So
another reason you probably wouldn't have thought to do it was when you see other tents with people doing that, it just looks really flimsy, it doesn't look sturdy, you can just see them flapping around all the time. But we found this to be very sturdy. We left it open last night when we were sleeping, and we would never have thought to do that.
So I quite like the Annex part. One of the questions that I got a lot when I started telling people that I bought one of these tents was that, aren't you worried that you're going to get a puncture in the air tubes? So after pumping this thing up, the tubes are solid as they're about sort of that thick.
They're like a sup. If you hit a sup, it's like
a
that
blow-up
hardness.
sup, So it's really hard, really thick, and they're probably the most solid poles I've ever had on any tent. I even pushed on them a little bit this afternoon to see how much they would depress with a bit of wind or something like that, and it was really, really firm. So like they're solid. Like I have no problems with how solid and how durable they are. I have no doubt that they're 10 times more durable and better than a fiberglass pole. And as far as puncturing them, they're in several layers, so you would really have to either have a major fault in the tube, or have something really stab the tube.
Like a knife.
Yeah, like
a knife.
Yeah. So like that's really the only way that I can see something like that puncturing. But even if it does, one of the things that I figured I'd do with this tent is have a bit of a repair kit system happening, and I'm yet to do that. But the tubes themselves to replace are like $30, and you'd be at least looking at that for fiberglass poles. if you've cracked a fiberglass pole, and how many times have you cracked fiberglass poles on a dome tent? Heaps. So really easy to fix, really inexpensive to fix, and solid as. So I don't see that being a problem.
So James, if you were to give Zempire a buyer's comment, what would you say to Zempire? And he's a pretty critical person, but I've seen that he's enjoyed this tent.
Okay.
He's appreciated the quality of it.
So my pros are that it's well made.
Yeah.
All the materials feel really solid. I quite like PVC tub floors because of their waterproofness. This is not PVC, but yeah, like it's thick. There was not a bit of condensation through the tent last night.
Didn't feel nervous walking on it.
Yeah, it feels thick and solid. I really like that. The ventilation's good. The windows are good. I really like the tent. Probably my cons are that
there's not enough places to hang a light.
Yeah. So we've
Or
got
a fan.
we've got some bar lights that are lighting this up at the moment, and it took quite a bit of ingenuity, shall we say, to find a place not only to hang them, but to run the cord. Normally, with a traditional pole, you could wrap it round, or put some clips or some paracord or whatever you want to tie them off to the. Because of the air tubes being integrated with the tent, you can't do that. So unless there's clips installed on it, there's really nowhere to run wires. And the places that they do have to hang, say, a lantern or something like that, are like right up against the bedroom liners. So
you can see why it needs to be there, because that's where
so
it's all sewn together.
The fourth bedroom that can clip in, there is a clip attachment on the roof to put that in, and that really is the perfect spot if you don't have that fourth bedroom in there to hang a light from. But you can't unless you tie a rope or something like that to hang it on there. So the lighting options are a little bit of a con. I guess it's not a big deal. Obviously, we got around it.
So we're a family of 4 from the Central Coast in New South Wales. We have just tried our first Zempire tent after many, many brands. We love it. We think it's great for our family. We can see that we'll be in it for many, many years. Thank you, Zempire. Happy camping.
They're a better sign off than that.
We don't have one.